All right, welcome back. Perry once more here to talk to you about mobile computing. Now, I was really hesitant to get into this topic because to some extent, I feel like mobile computing is just becoming computing. We are moving so rapidly to the predominance of mobile devices and mobile operating systems as the predominant way that folks connect and collaborate and disseminate information that I think that line is going to get progressively blurred. And back in the day, I don't know, 6 years ago, there really was a clear line between personal computing and mobile computing. And there still is, but that line is getting blurry, let me tell you. And here's why. So there are more mobile devices right now on planet Earth than there are human beings living. 7.2 billion mobile devices out floating around out there. So there's really about 3.2 billion people using the internet on any given day. I'm wondering, like, where are all these mobile devices? Now, I think a lot of these are specialty devices, like the guy who, from FedEx who scans your package, or, kiosks. There's a lot of different types of mobile devices, which we'll talk about. But still, 7.2 billion. That's a lot. That's crazy. And it just, for me, it bogs the mind just thinking about the recycling and like what's happening to all these phones. Anyways, that's a whole different conversation. But it's projected that 90% of the population will have access to the internet via a mobile device by 2020. All right, how many phones are going to be then? Like 14 billion? I don't know. It's a crazy thing to think about, but folks are using phones and tablets, iPhones, Android phones, tablet devices to get access to the internet way more than they're using traditional personal computers. Now, obviously, personal computers still really big in the workplace, but in terms of personal computing, definitely your mobile devices, your tablets, your smartphones, those are winning out. So in 2015, manufacturers will ship 5 times as many tablets and smartphones as they will personal computers. All right, that's crazy. That's a huge trend. Microsoft has reported that its personal operating systems, Windows 8, I think it's soon going to be Windows 10. I'm not sure why they skip one. They're down 14%, and that's a lot. 14% really is a huge trend in terms of the decline in use of personal computing. Now, their Surface device and Windows Phone, they're seeing good uptick there, but definitely on the traditional personal computing devices, that's going down. And on average, adults in the U.S. spend 34 hours per month using their mobile internet device, smartphone/tablet. It's a lot of time, 34 hours per month. So, yeah, it's really a huge trend. And again, at some point, I got to think mobile computing, personal computing, they're all going to become the same thing. But I just wanted to give you a brief overview of mobile computing, as part of the primer, just to be thorough. And there's some really interesting facts here. So the term mobile computing, it really is becoming obsolete. I mean, actually, ironically, just the term computer is almost becoming antiquated, right? Computers are becoming everything, from our GPS in our car to our Xbox to our televisions. So we're definitely seeing a trend where there's a much greater level of integration of computing into all the different devices we use on a daily basis. So I personally believe the concept of mobile computing and how we think about it is really going to change over the next 5 to 10 years, just because it's just going to be computing, really. It's just going to be devices, computers that you're going to use. Now, mobile devices account for 55% of internet usage in the US in 2014, and that's projected to rise like 12% in 2015. And mobile apps make up 47% of internet traffic. That's a lot. 47% of internet traffic are coming from mobile devices. So types of mobile devices. We probably know this already, but smartphones, obviously dominant players. Huge. Your iPhones, your Samsung Galaxies, your HTCs. They make up a huge part. Interesting fact, I did not know this until I did my homework. I would have thought iPhone being the dominant player. Nope. Samsung, Android, definitely selling a lot more than the iPhone. Other tablets, of course, obviously you have your Apple tablets, your iPads, but there's a ton of Android tablets being produced right now, and they're being used for a number of different purposes, and they're also being customized for the workforce at a much greater level than we've seen in the previous year. We're seeing tablets show up in every aspect of school systems, of hospitals. They're showing up everywhere, and they're definitely replacing personal computers. I read a study recently that said that they're replacing every personal computer in a hospital that nurses are using. There'll generally be a station. That station will be replaced with 7 to 10 tablets for the nursing and care staff within the hospital. So it just makes a lot more sense because tablets are very cost effective. They're easy, they're portable, they don't require you to be plugged into the wall, they don't take up a lot of space, and that's really driving up a ton of usage scenarios. They're also just very empowering for folks in their day-to-day business. E-readers. I was hesitant to put this in, but e-readers really is its own class. Your Kindle, your Nook, the things that people use to read books on. And there really is a huge market for that, where these standalone devices for e-readers. I still put them in the mobile device range because they're wirelessly enabled and, they're handheld. I wouldn't, I think there's some debate whether or not an e-reader is just like a tablet, but definitely it's in its own category and marketed as that, so I thought I'd mention it. Scanner. So again, the FedEx guy comes to your house, he's got his little iPhone enabled barcode scanner, bam, goes out. There's a lot of those. And right now, where scanners used to be these big, expensive devices, there's new technology where you can just strap on a scanner onto an existing iPhone or Android phone, and suddenly you have a mobile broadband scanning device that can hook up to a network. And that is a huge savings and a big productivity boon for all kinds of industries, whether it be retail, healthcare, logistics, of course. So you're seeing a lot more of that. And kiosks. I actually didn't think about this as I was looking at my research for mobile devices, but there's kiosks everywhere. And all they really are is mobile devices hooked up wirelessly to the internet, capturing information, displaying information. So that's a really big trend. And kiosks used to be really very expensive. But now the cheapest part of building a kiosk is actually the computer, the tablet, or whatever you're using. They're saying it costs more to actually build the framework, the wood of the kiosk. So kiosks are becoming much more popular just because it's so much cheaper now to take different tablets and build kiosks out of them. All right, so mobile devices have all the same components that personal computers have. Laptops, desktops, whatever it may be. They've all got some kind of case. They all have memory. They've got some sort of keyboard. They're connected to the network, usually to a broadband wireless network, or they can get to your, personal wireless network. They've all got the circuitry. They've got, some kind of storage. Probably not a hard drive, though. Storage is more similar to something like a random access memory, where it's stored in memory. So you probably don't actually see a hard drive in a mobile device. The mouse is really not there either. It's more of using the screen. But definitely has an operating system. And the two predominant operating systems out there are going to be your iOS or your Android. And the less popular ones are going to be your Windows operating system for phones. And then I think BlackBerry is still around trying to do its thing. And there's a few smaller players as well. But it's definitely got a CPU. It's definitely got a video card or video card architecture. It's got a screen, of course. And what else does it have? Lots and lots and lots of applications. There are so many applications available out there. It's amazing. And there's just about an application for everything. So very similar to a personal computer. Obviously different format, different configuration. But you have a lot of the same parts. However, you also have a lot of different considerations with a mobile device. One being size, of course. It's got to be small. A tablet's probably as big as you want to go for a mobile device. Different operating system, as I mentioned, iOS, Android. These are much more scaled down operating systems, but still they're very powerful. And these operating systems are specifically designed for specific devices. So they're not necessarily device agnostic. It'd be pretty tough. I'm sure some hackers out there has loaded Android onto an iPhone just for kicks and giggles, but I wouldn't spend my time doing that. So a lot of devices actually are prone to a specific operating system. Access to a mobile broadband network, basically AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, all of those phone networks, the networks you make calls under, those are all mobile broadband networks and allow for pretty significant internet access and access to networks. It's really amazing how much that's improved. And we're finally starting to catch up with Europe. Europe's always been a little ahead of us on this. But, there's definitely the implementation of more powerful, more stable broadband networks is really what's enabling this huge boost in drive in, the adoption of mobile computing. Battery life. You got to have a lot of battery life in a mobile device because it's on all the time. And you've got to have like an architecture that allows for you to not have to charge your phone, but maybe every 12 to 24 hours. So battery life's really important, and that's a big consideration in mobile devices. Applications. And this is really its own sort of software architecture. The apps are specifically designed for that for iOS, for Android, for BlackBerry, for Windows Phone. They're not really interchangeable with other mobile operating systems, but applications are really what's driven a huge chunk. Like Angry Birds, how many downloads has that gotten? Tons and tons and tons. So much of the adoption of mobile devices has really come based on applications. It's not like so much that people see the device like, I want that, which of course they do, but it's really the apps that are driving all the usage. As I said, 44% of internet access, of internet consumption, is coming from mobile applications. Okay, now we got some interesting other things that you may not see in a personal computer. For example, GPS capability. The ability to triangulate from multiple satellites or multiple towers to come up with a specific location and either do things like Google Maps, actually navigate to a specific location, Yelp, find something nearby in terms of a restaurant. GPS capability is probably one of the single biggest, most powerful additions to mobile computing that's really aided in everything from e-commerce to emergency systems. It's just a huge, and I am shocked at how good GPS is. If I go back to the GPS devices I was using 4 years ago, I feel like my phone is much better as a standalone GPS device. Accelerometer. How fast are you going? It's just a little thing they throw in there. It's a little separate chip, but it's great. Again, ties into GPS. So, for example, when you're driving down the road, those two play well together to say, okay, I'm clocking where you are GPS. I'm clocking you're going this speed. You're going to want to take a right in 600 feet. It works well together in terms of being able to do that math to kind of help guide you to where you want to go. And a compass and a magnetometer. And again, a lot of this really just comes down to the navigational aspects of what you can do with your mobile phone, but tie that into apps such as Yelp, such as Google Maps, and there's just so many possibilities that developers can build with these devices. So this is a pretty short session. I didn't want to get too much into things like mobile architecture and mobile development. I really just wanted to point out in this one that yes, mobile computing is still its own thing, but really soon it's not going to be. It's just going to be computing, and the mobile architecture, the way that we actually interface with computers is drastically starting to change, and mobile devices are really making that powerful. And the other takeaway here is mobile devices are also enabling individuals around the world to get access to the internet that was before impossible, since they're not building necessarily huge broadband pipes into countries, or cable like Comcast. You have lots of individuals who are able to connect to the internet via inexpensive mobile devices, and that's completely changing how we communicate as a species, actually. So just a quick one. Wanted to put a few of those facts out for you. Stay with us. We got another great course for you.